Hi, Mike Brainley, auctioneer. We've discussed a lot of times auctioneers disclosing things about what they're selling. Here's this wristwatch. It's Rolex. It's 24 jewel. It's presidential. It's this size. The band is this size. It's 14 karat. It's date just. It's how much do you want to know about it? Well, the more disclosure auctioneers give bidders and buyers, the better in decisions they can make, and the less buyer recourse there is when it doesn't match their expectations. It would seem to me to be a win-win to provide virtually maximum disclosure. But what's the legal line? What are auctioneers compelled to disclose? Well, here's a phrase I suggest auctioneers carry around with them. It's only 4 words. All known material facts. All known material facts. And let me take you through these 4 words. All would be all of the information, not just some of it or part of it, but all of it. We're pretty good there probably. Known usually divides into 2 things. What the auctioneer knows about that wristwatch, and secondly, what he should know about that wristwatch. So, well, I'm not very familiar with wristwatches. I see it says Rolex on it, so it's a Rolex, and that's all I say. Well, that's not good enough. There are things that you should know about a Rolex watch if you're commissioned to sell it. So what you know and what you should know within reason. I think auctioneers would be best not to sell things that they know nothing about. So if you get something you don't know much about or don't know what you should know about it, let's be finding out about it, or let's refer it to somebody who can handle it and do a better job with it. So known, what you know, and what you should know. Material, the 3rd word. Material means largely important. What a buyer would consider important, not what you would consider important. Well, I'm not interested in wristwatches, Rolex watch. I don't care. It doesn't matter whether you care as the auctioneer. It matters if the buyers would care. And do they care if it works? Do they care if it's 14 karat or 18 karat? Do they care if it has a date or no date? Do they care if it's 1979 or 1989? Do they care what size the band is? They might care about all of that. That all might be important to them, suggesting material. Now, some things are immaterial. The wristwatch came from an old house on 3rd Avenue. I don't really care about that. Rolex, it put a serial number on the inside, also along the outside, along the band, the connector area, in some cases, is a serial number material. It would be material to some purchasers, maybe not material to others. The 14 karat is particularly shiny. Looks like it was cleaned. Is that important? Nah, not probably important to most bidders. And also, keep in mind, auctioneers, you can disclose by writing text or description under the item. You can also take pictures of the item and disclose. So disclosure of material information, important information, and particularly if there's dangerous or hazardous material to disclose. So such as you're selling a car and it's got an oil leak, or you're selling a farm and it's got an oil spill. Those would be particularly things to disclose. Now, the other divider line on material is you don't have to disclose patent information, because patent information is obvious. You have to disclose, for the most part, latent information, not easily discoverable, hidden, not out in the open, not obvious. So the farm with the contamination or oil spill or what have you. Well, if it's out in the open and everybody can see it, and you're offering a preview, which I hope you are, they can see that themselves. But there's an oil spill behind the barn, kind of around the corner. There's a big tree there, and you can't really see it that well with the shade. Can't tell the discoloration isn't as obvious. That's not patent or obvious, but latent or not easily discoverable. That would be even more important to disclose. So material information overall, meaning important information, not important information. And secondly, what is not easily discoverable by the buyer or prospective purchaser. And lastly, facts. And facts are a tough thing, given the internet and Facebook and everything else. I'm not sure I know anymore what a fact is and what a fact isn't. And people post things that purportedly are facts, and they aren't facts. It's hard to discern sometimes. But disclosing what you know as a fact versus a rumor or something unsubstantiated. You know, the neighbor comes over and says, hey, you know, that house is haunted. Well, I'm not going to disclose that to all the bidders and buyers. Hey, you know, the house is haunted. I don't know that as a fact. Now, I could research that. I could check public records. I could interview other neighbors. I could talk to my seller. And if I get enough information that I feel like that's a fact and haunted might be considered latent, then I might feel compelled or should feel compelled to disclose that. So facts versus rumor, facts versus unsubstantiated claims, or somebody trying to you know, diss the property a little bit to get a, you know, to send out some bad news so they can get a better deal on it. Lots of times bidders and buyers try that, disseminating false information to deter bidders. And you can't disclose that kind of stuff because it's not a fact. So again, our phrase, all known material facts. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. And if you look at an item, if you're uploading an item to an online platform and you're saying to yourself, okay, I got to disclose all known material facts, just run through those 4 words and upload that information or take those pictures. If you're an auctioneer having a live auction and there's previews, or online and previews, certainly possible, but a live auction, certainly you'd have previews. Why wouldn't you? Then anything obvious, you don't have to say. Anything not quite obvious or latent, it would be good to announce that at the time that item comes up. So disclosure for auctioneers, very important. Keep your bidders informed. Let them know what they're bidding on. They will be better bidders and better buyers, and you're servicing your client better when you do a reasonable or better amount of disclosure. Mike Brantley, Auctioneer. Pleasure to be with you today. Other videos on the same page, others forthcoming. Have a great day and stay safe.